Wi-Fi Sheep would like to say a huge thank you to all of you that kindly support us. Help us continue to bring new videos like this. Join patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep from just $1 a month. Hello and welcome back to Wi-Fi Sheep right here on YouTube with me, Tom. Now, before I start this video, I just want to welcome the huge amount of new viewers that I anticipate this subject and video is going to get. If you haven't done already, I really appreciate if you would like and subscribe to the channel for much more content here on Wi-Fi Sheep, and also it really helps supporting me. If you have subscribed, I just want to say a huge thank you in advance. Now, ever since the Raspberry Pi came out in 2011-2012, the holy grail for many people was they wanted to run a version of Microsoft Windows natively on the system. A certain community of people, who I won't name, teachers, basically hated the idea of Linux, and if it couldn't run Microsoft Office and Windows, they weren't interested. For others, they wanted to run Windows for various reasons. Personally, I was never really a PC user, and still not a PC user that much. Such to the point that today I'm actually going to have to borrow my fiance's Windows 10 HP Pavilion laptop in order to do part of this video, because I don't actually have anything that runs Windows 10. However, it's now possible, believe it or not, to run a version not only of Windows, but of Windows 11, which is the brand new replacement for Windows 10. It's only been announced and came out in July 2021. It's now the beginning of July 2021. You can run Windows 11. You can also run it natively on a Raspberry Pi. And not only that, you can actually run x86 PC software and applications as if it was a proper full desktop PC. Now, that sounds too good to be true. I was really skeptical, but we're going to give it a go and see if it actually works. Before we go any further, a quick disclaimer. So basically, this isn't an official endorsed Microsoft product. The version of Windows appears to come from a beta or alpha test version, which was released to developers and interested third parties to actually just evaluate and have a look at. So it's probably broken or missing features in many parts. In order for this to work, you have to compile into an ISO image and then use a piece of software called Raspberry for Windows, which is a third-party community app which doesn't have any endorsement or security certificates for Microsoft Windows. Basically what I'm saying is I have no idea of vetting if all this software is clean, if it doesn't install Trojans, or if it doesn't have spyware, malware, or whatever, both on the Windows 11 distribution for the Pi, but also on the third-party bits that you have to use Windows 10 to use. Basically, you're using this at your own risk, and I can't validate or vet any of the processes I'm about to show you. Now, naturally, for this to work properly, you're going to need a Raspberry Pi with a bit of power and a bit of grunt. So anything less than a Pi 4, although you could probably get away with it, is not ideal. For this project, I kind of had a choice between a Raspberry Pi 4B+, which, if you followed me for a few years now, you know I hate those boards, or the much better and, quite frankly, a little bit more powerful Raspberry Pi 400, which is an all-in-one, ready-to-go microcomputer. Now, I don't have any of the 4B pluses with anything other than the sort of 2GB spec models, and you kind of need a little bit more RAM than 2GB for this to work properly. So I went with the Raspberry Pi 400 because it's a better machine, it runs a bit faster, it has a built-in heatsink, which also acts as an RF shield, and the stock model comes with 4GB of RAM, which is fine for what we're doing. I also decided to use a Class 10 64GB SD card, or in this case micro SD card, because we're going to need something that's going to run fast, because it's going to have to run off this SD card and it's going to create a bit of a logjam with data and I/O, so you don't want a slow card. And also Windows, we're going to be running it as a full desktop PC if it works, so we're going to need plenty of space, so 64GB is probably the preferred, where you can get away with as little as 16GB if you wanted. Okay, so I've just gone into a new Microsoft Edge browser session. You can use whatever web browser you want. It doesn't actually matter at this point. So we want to go to a site called UUP-dump, and the address for that is simply uupdump.net. And then here in the search bar, we want to search for Windows 11 ARM, and you'll find the second build here at the moment. This is at time of recording. This will no doubt change. Is Windows 11 Insider Preview. And we'll click. We'll then select the language. In my case, English United Kingdom. Click Next. We want the Home and Pro. Click Next. We want to make sure we've selected download and convert to ISO, and we want to integrate updates. That's fine there. So, and then we can click to create a download package. So I've extracted the files from the download into a new folder called Win11, and in here there's a .cmd file which we need to double click. This is the reason why we actually need Windows 10 to do this. They are files there for Linux and Mac OS, but I don't believe these compile the ISO image correctly unless it's on Windows. I might be wrong there. The information I've got states that you need Windows 10 to do this. So yes, we do want to allow. And you can see it's now starting a prompt. I'm not sure how long this process takes, but we'll give it a minute. It's actually extracting data from various sources to actually build us a ISO image. This is a file we actually need to be able to flash to an SD card to hopefully get the recipe to boot. So we'll let that do that, and we'll come back when it's finished. Okay, we are about 2 hours later, and it says it's finished, but you can see here how it says problem with space, so insufficient disk space. But I've done a quick check to see how many bytes that is. That's about 4 gigabytes, and there's more than enough disk space, so I don't know what the problem is, unless it's an issue with, I think one of the disks on this machine is formatted to NTFS, which I don't know how big a file you can physically have in an NTFS file space. That might be the problem. Now it says press 0 to exit, so we'll exit. Yeah, so it's created me an ISO file with nothing in it. And it's created me a folder which does have some data in it. So I'm thinking I may have to redo that, but let's carry on, see if this will work or not. I'm not sure what a 0 KB disk image file is going to do, but let's find out. So next we need to go and grab a piece of software, which is, this is where you need Windows 10, because we now need the Windows on Raspberry Pi Imager tool, and I'll put a link to that in the description so you can find it. For me, let's go back to Edge browser, and the site we want to head to is WOR project.ml/downloads, and this will take us to this page, and we want to download the latest version, which is here. And that's downloaded. So we'll extract that and we'll get that open. Actually running. So this is the opening screen. We'll say English. You just have a generic English for everybody. So select device. So we're going to say 4400. And that's fine. And my SD card in. We're going with the 64 gig micro SD card. Let's just there we go, 58 gig. So we actually might need to reformat the G drive. Did I say 50? Okay, that's fine. So yeah, 64 gigabyte card, 58 gig it's now found. So that's the storage device. It's very important that you don't wipe your machine's hard drive or any external hard drive you've got on. You've got the correct drive selected, and we've now got the Raspberry Pi 4 400, which is what we're going to use. So we're going to go next. So select the image file, and this is on the desktop, Win 11, and it's this long-winded image file. If this has worked correctly, this should now mount. Okay, and we'll go Pro Build, I think, and I'll say next. We'll use package, accept, storage, yep. Okay, let's see what happens when we hit install. So first you can see it's going to format the target drive. Bearing in mind, if you have any data that was on the SD card originally, that's now going to get wiped. And I've gone with the Pro version. If this doesn't work, I'll have to switch it to the Home edition. So I think this point we'll take a jump cut with the edit, and we'll come back when this has finished doing this part. It's now nearly 8:45 at night. We started this at about 11 o'clock this morning, but we're hopefully now that the installation has completed. I'm going to click finish. I'm going to assume that's not necessary. What drive that's now sitting on? Windows on W. Okay, that's looking promising. So there's a program files for ARM and x86. Okay, not looking bad. So I guess the big question is, does this actually boot? Good morning, it's now the following day. We just got too late in the night and I needed to sleep. So, fresh morning, we have the SD card, the 64 gigabyte SD card that we made up yesterday. And I've been thinking about which Raspberry Pi model to use. I was originally going to go with the 4B Plus, but this is only a 2 gigabyte model. And to be honest with you, although I think it would work, Windows is probably going to need more than 2 gigabyte to run properly. So it makes perfect sense to use the Raspberry Pi 400 because, well, quite frankly, I like this machine much better than the plain 4. Compact, all-in-one, and it'd be really, really cool if this would actually run Windows natively. So let's put the SD card in. Just to recap, this SD card has formatted with 2 partitions. One is clearly a Windows C drive setup, and the other, which I don't seem to be able to open, I'm guessing is the boot partition to make it work on the Pi. So hopefully we've got screen capture set up as well. So let's turn on my monitor and let's power up and see what happens. Green light, which is always a good sign. We've got hello, we've got a signal. And I'm going to hit escape. Okay, so we've now got this boot partition screen. Yeah. We go device manager. Let's just check Raspberry Pi configuration, CPU configuration. I think we have to label that as default, so we'll go back. Display configuration. It says native resolution. I think we can do a full 1080, which is what we'll try and go to. Advanced configuration. Now this is an important feature here. So you see it says limit to 3 gigabytes I think we can disable that function because we've actually got a 4 gig machine, so we can go a little bit higher. I think everything else is looking okay. Yeah, I think we're all right. So we'll say yes, press escape, and let's hit continue. So hit enter. Okay, video signal is down. Back up again. You can see a loading bar down the bottom. Be interesting to see how fast this actually works. Because I doing some reading before we started this, it kind of applied that it was a little bit slow, which is why I've gone for the fastest, most powerful Raspberry Pi I own, which is the 400. So we'll see what it does. Okay, we're back, and you can see we've got a sort of Windows spinning wheel thing. So it'll be interesting how fast we go. Oh, hello, here we go. So, yeah, we're a couple of minutes. Okay, we're at the Windows 11 boot screen. Now, I've done a bit of setting up of an account, which I did off footage, just because it's not that interesting. So let's hit the return, and it wants me to log in. Okay, well, there you have it. Full 1080 mode as well, from the looks of it. Windows 11. You can see down here in the corner you've got some text. So basically this is using an alpha quality or sort of beta quality ROM that would have gone out to developers, beta testers. So it is Windows, and it's Windows 11, but it's probably going to have a few glitches and bugs, and there is some stuff that doesn't work. I can tell you off the bat, the sound at the moment, I can't get that to work. There doesn't appear to be anything there. And also the Wi-Fi doesn't work. It can't support the Raspberry Pi drivers. Saying that, if we now, I'm going to go and grab an Ethernet lead. Let's plug an Ethernet connection in. Okay, so I plugged an Ethernet lead in. Thank goodness the Raspberry Pi 4 and 400 have Ethernet. You notice the date, it's just changed. It's just found a server and connected, so the date is now correct, and the time is also correct recording. So yeah, just coming up to, I make it 10:50, it makes it 10:49, but yeah, close enough. There we go. Okay, so you see you've got Microsoft Edge. So let's open the Microsoft Edge browser. Welcome to the new Microsoft Edge. Okay. Complete setup. What? I don't understand what that means. Okay, I just want to go away. Right. See what the browsing experience is like. I have to be honest with you, it's a little slow so far, just opening things, but it's actually not bad. It's no worse than that Windows 10 Hewlett-Packard Pavilion laptop we used at the beginning of the video to flash the ROM with. Yeah, okay. Let's try Wi-Fi sheep.co.uk because, you know, but again, this is not a complicated site to load. Okay, yeah. The browser speed on that ain't bad. Actually, that's not bad. That's really usable. Remember, this hasn't cached any of this. It's never seen it before. So, yeah. Okay. That's quite cool. So with Windows 11, actually I've just minimized that. Where does the minimizing stuff go now? That's interesting. So you know with Windows 10 how it used to sort of lock it into, well, all Windows up to from 95 onwards used to lock into the start bar, taskbar, whatever you call it at the bottom, and it now sort of just goes into sort of widgets. Speaking of widgets, is there actually a widgets option? Yeah, we'll click widgets option. And this does need an internet connection to work. Okay, so you have to sign in with your Microsoft account to use widgets. I do have a Microsoft account for Xbox. No, I won't do that today. So I'll say no thanks to that. So the new start option, which is this, instead of being a sort of big blocking thing over here, used to be called Metro. So we've got Microsoft Store, photo settings. We've just done the browser, calculator, alarm clock. Oh, Notepad and Notepad and Painter on here. There we are. There's Notepad. That opened really quick, and that's Notepad as you'd sort of expect it. There's Paint. Haven't used Paint in years. There you go. You know what? This is actually running, especially here on the Pi 400. This is actually running really, really well. Very, very fast, very fluent. Paint come on quite a bit. Last time I used that properly was, oh, what? Windows 3.1 when it was Paintbrush. Going back a bit there. That's not bad. There's a little bit of lag. You can see it, but it's not that's not bad at all. I mean, the windows are really well. There we go. Yeah, the windows are very, very responsive and fast in the space. If I minimize that goes. Oh, I see. Okay. So if I just try some shortcuts now. So what would be the flag or Windows key or whatever you want to call it, or command key on a PC keyboard is actually denoted by a Raspberry Pi here. So if I go, what we'd say, Win key E, that should open a new Explorer window. And it does. It's a little slow, but it's there. There we go. And we've got all the normal folders you'd expect. Let's try, see if we can run. And we can. That's a function that's been here for donkey's years. I wonder, can we bring up the sort of DOS prompt? It's not proper DOS, but it's the command prompt. CMD. Oh, we can. Oh my goodness me, cmd.exe on Windows System 32. I remind you, I'm using a Raspberry Pi to run this. So we can now do a DOS directory. There we go. dir, we can direct everything. ipconfig. There you go. Yeah, that works. And it is actually working on the hardwire connection. So, yeah. One thing I want to try now is this is running natively on the Broadcom ARM chip, but it's meant to be powerful enough to be able to run x86, that's your Intel or AMD x86 or x86 64 based PC software. That's the proper Windows programs. This is something that previous builds of Windows, such as CE, RT and all that kind of stuff, couldn't do. You had to have compiled native ARM applications. So we should be able to actually download some PC Windows software and it should actually run as if it was running on a proper PC. So let's go back to our web browser and let's try something, see if this is even going to work. It probably won't, but let's give it a shot, see what happens. So if I go, we do a search for KiCad, which is my well, it's not my, it's the CAD making software that I use for building PCBs with. And let's go and have a quick look. Let's click to download. So KiCad is completely free, and normally it doesn't work on ARM. You can get it on all sorts of different platforms, but doesn't normally work on ARM. So let's see what happens. This will be very interesting. And there it has actually now started to download. 1.2 gig. Not in this day and age a huge file, and it's coming down relatively fast. I mean, I do have a fibre internet connection here. We're not through Wi-Fi, we're hardwire cabled into the router downstairs. And it's to be honest with you, this is one of the better operating system experiences I think I've ever had with the Pi. This doesn't feel sluggish or bloated like the Linux builds. Even Raspberry Pi OS just feels ugh, why I don't really like it. So I mean, obviously this isn't perfect. I'm not going to say it's perfect. There's probably some bugs, and at the end of the day it is Windows, but I have to say I am generally impressed. Let's while I wait for that to download, let's go through to Wi-Fi Sheep on YouTube and see how well that works. Now, bearing in mind, there we go. Got to agree. First time we've come in and we're not signed in, so it's a little slow, but that could be because it's trying to download something. Okay, it's there. What was the last video we did? Oh, the little thumbnails seem to work. So let's just try one of our videos, see what happens. We're going to get an ad. Okay. What's the settings on that? Normally I would say please don't click skip ad because I need the revenue, but I'm doing a demo, so we're moving on. Again, I'm not getting any sound unfortunately, but it's playing. Yeah, I just want to see what we're doing in. Okay, we're running at yeah, for oh no, 480. So we're not actually running in HD mode because my videos go up to 720 normally. But no, it's looking all right actually. It's not looking too bad. Again, it's a shame there's no sound. So I don't quite know what's going on there. Might be something that needs to be configured. That's not a word. Configured. Yeah, helps if I do these presentations and don't start making up words. Let's just have a quick look at settings. Settings is a little slow. Oh, there we go. Okay. Where are we? System sound. It does say Windows isn't activated. Oh, is this one of these that's going to stop working after so long? So if I don't activate this, does this thing expire in about 7 days then or something? Probably. See, now the thing about the sound, it says Raspberry Pi audio, so I don't know why that's not working. But, oh, what happened there? Might have slightly glitched out then. Okay, there we go. So this is KiCad x86 64-bit. So what happens if I double click that then? So this is a x86 PC application or installer. This shouldn't technically run on the ARM chip. Yes. Oh my goodness. Let's not get too excited. It is just the installer. Welcome to KiCad. Yeah. C program files KiCad. Yeah, install. Okay, that took about 20 minutes, but we're back and we're finished. And it's offering if I want to install FreeCAD. No, not at the minute. Although FreeCAD is something I intend to look at. So we'll go to the start menu thing. Photoshop. What is all this stuff? We didn't have these apps before. Where's my? Oh, there we go. So KiCad. That one, please. Thank you. Come on. No way. Oh, you're a bit slow. That's a little bit slow, but that's not bad. It's not as fast as it's running on proper x86 machines, but this software shouldn't be running on a Raspberry Pi at all. So the fact that it is, and it seems usable, but let's get some symbols in. Normally, if you're on an x86 PC, this would just be flying through this right now. So I don't have to slow down the processor. The emulator layer that's needed to convert this from compiled x86 to ARM code. Are those the four timers? Yeah. Flip flops, hex buffer. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just random. Yeah, I want that. Have that. Okay. Scroll wheel works. I mean, it's all there. Can I look at the component library? Okay, a few minutes after I stopped the recording to let it finish doing what it's doing, KiCad crashed. So we may have pushed that a little bit too far. Something else we could try, which may or may not work, is Blender, which is a free 3D modeling and render program that has never been compatible with the Raspberry Pi. I have installed the x86 Windows 64-bit version. I have it here. It actually loaded and installed very quickly, much quicker than the KiCad did. So, let's see what happens. Okay, well that answers that question for us. A graphics card and driver that supports OpenGL 3.3 or higher is required. Yeah, we haven't got a graphics card on this. So, okay, I think we are kind of hitting the top end there of, what we should expect Blender, Windows 11 on a Raspberry Pi to be able to do. Okay, that's disappointing, but never say never. There may be OpenGL drivers for this at some point. I want to try one more thing actually. So Blender didn't work. Let's try. LibreOffice. As long as we don't have a Microsoft Office on here. So what are we doing? Download LibreOffice. Now, LibreOffice does compile on Raspberry Pi natively as an ARM. I'm going to try and install on Windows 64-bit. I wonder what will happen. Okay, so the download is downloading. And again, that's not going too bad. You can see it's running okay. Download speed. As I said before, LibreOffice does actually ship standard with Raspberry Pi OS, so they are ARM compatible Linux versions. So this running is less of a surprise, but I remind you, this is the 64-bit x86 PC version. It shouldn't be running on a Raspberry Pi at all. It's not ARM code. It's not been compiled for ARM. So let's see how well this runs. That wasn't too long, couple of minutes, and we're done. So we'll say finish. Let's close that. We'll minimize the web browser. Bear in mind, we've still got the web browser running in the background while we're doing all this. And here is LibreOffice. Let's see what this does. Writing document. Mouse is a little bit funny on this actually. Don't know if it's just because I'm using a very cheap Poundland mouse, or if or mouse rather, or if it's a slight lag. But let's just see what the typing's like. Oh, I can't even spell. Yeah, I don't know if I'm. Let's see, just right click. How long does that take? It's yeah. It's a little slow, but I don't remember it being all that fast on Linux. You know. I mean, it works. And it is Microsoft Office compatible, so I mean, yeah, I'd say that's usable. I'm assuming I can save my file. Test Word. What can we save as? Microsoft. Save as a 2007 365. No, use that format. So if I now File Explorer, and let's just check out the documents. There it is. I right click, can I change the view to large icons? I can. Okay. So yeah, I can think of 1,000,001 different things to be testing this with, but I have to say, despite a few glitches and the sound not working and the Wi-Fi not working, I also believe that a journalist reported that the COM ports don't work, so you can't use things like Arduino rather, IDE's environment. That doesn't work either. But you know what? Other than obviously Blender and KiCad being Blender's not working, KiCad being a bit funny. You know, it's usable. I can't believe actually it's usable. It's yeah, I'm generally impressed by this. Let's so if we want to do like a shutdown, and I ask to shut down. So there you go. It's real. It's not clickbait. It's not fake. You can run Windows 11 and Microsoft PC software on a Raspberry Pi. And what's more, it's actually quite good. It works. You can use it as a desktop computer. For the very first time, I actually used a Raspberry Pi and used an operating system that actually runs modern stuff. It works. Okay, it's not perfect. We're missing Wi-Fi, we're missing sound, the OpenGL drivers don't work, and you're probably not going to be doing PC gaming on this, trust me. But it's usable. And that's really, really surprising how usable it really is. We need to play with this a bit more. There's probably a scope for a whole video series just on this alone. But if you've got the time, and I've got the patience to make this run. At time of recording, which is for this video, is just the beginning of July 2021, it's possible. And it's actually very good. Also, Windows 11, what a surprise. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. And I'm not a Microsoft fanboy. I don't even like Windows that much. I certainly don't use it daily. And even I have to say, yeah, they've done a good job with Windows 11. I'd like to know how you get on, so do drop me comments. I can't really tech support this, but yeah, we'll see how we get on. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't done already, please do like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you real soon, right here on the channel. Until next time, bye for now.